Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely, because this moment might just shift the trajectory of your life. We live in a world where validation is currency, where likes, hearts, and compliments have become the measurements of worth. We search for love like beggars looking for crumbs at a feast we were meant to host. But what if I told you that the love you've been chasing, the acceptance you've been yearning for, the worth you've been waiting to be recognized is already within you? You see, the greatest tragedy is not being unloved by others. It's being unknown to yourself. Self-love is often misunderstood as a fleeting feeling or emotional high, but in reality, it is a conscious and often uncomfortable decision. It's not something that simply falls into your lap when life is going well or people are treating you right. It's not a dependency on someone noticing you, affirming you, or giving you the green light to feel good about who you are. It is a daily choice to believe in your value, even when your circumstances don't reflect it and your emotions are pulling you in the opposite direction. People often wait for external permission to begin loving themselves. They wait for a compliment, a promotion, a relationship, a breakthrough, as if those things hold the authority to make them feel worthy. But self-love that is based on external validation is fragile. It is unstable. The moment those people disappear or those opportunities fade, your sense of self shatters. This kind of love is not grounded in truth. It is built on borrowed opinions. You are not here to rent your self-worth. You are here to own it. Choosing to love yourself is an act of rebellion against the lies you believed about who you are. It means confronting the voice in your head that says you're not enough. It means rejecting the version of yourself shaped by rejection, trauma, or failure. It means rewriting the story you've been told about your limitations and deciding to replace it with truth, power, and possibility. That decision doesn't always feel good, but it's always right. The decision to love yourself also comes with boundaries. You cannot continue to say yes to people who constantly say no to your value. You cannot surround yourself with voices that constantly drain your confidence and expect to walk in power. When you love yourself, you start guarding your peace like it's your most expensive asset, because it is. You start walking away from what dishonors you, even if it once felt familiar. And that's not arrogance. That's alignment. Self-love isn't selfish. It's strategic. It positions you to give from overflow, not emptiness. When you choose to love yourself, you become a better parent, partner, leader, and friend. Not because you're focused on yourself, but because you're no longer dependent on others to keep you full. You stop loving from a place of lack and start loving from a place of abundance. You become someone who adds value, not someone who clings for it. This decision will require you to stop chasing perfection and start embracing authenticity. Real love, especially the kind you give to yourself, isn't based on performance. It's rooted in grace. It means showing up for yourself on your worst days just as much as you do on your best. It means giving yourself permission to be human, to fall, to grow, and to evolve without apology. It's not about pretending to be okay. It's about committing to yourself, even when you're still healing. You may not feel ready. You may not feel worthy. But readiness and worthiness are not emotions. They are truths you step into by faith. The decision to love yourself isn't a reward for achieving your goals. It's the foundation that empowers you to pursue them in the first place. Until you recognize your own value, you'll continue to sabotage your progress by questioning if you deserve it. That decision must come before the results, not after. People who wait until they feel loved to take action will always be at the mercy of their environment. But those who decide to love themselves can move forward in any condition. They don't need the weather to be perfect, the audience to be cheering, or the situation to be easy. They move with clarity because they know who they are. And when you know who you are, you stop negotiating with insecurity. There is a version of you that exists on the other side of self-love. That version isn't afraid to take up space. That version doesn't settle for less than their calling. That version makes decisions based on truth, not trauma. But you don't become that version by waiting. You become that version by deciding, by choosing yourself, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Every time you make that decision, you break the cycle of dependency. You stop feeding the lie that you are only as valuable as others make you feel. You start recognizing that your voice matters, your needs matter, your vision matters. And the love you've been searching for in others was meant to be awakened in you first. You've spent years searching for clarity, searching for peace, searching for purpose, searching for someone to come into your life and finally make things make sense. Maybe you thought if you found the right relationship, the right job, the right friend group, or the right opportunity, things would finally click. But despite how much you've achieved or how many people you've tried to hold on to, something inside you still feels incomplete. That emptiness isn't there because something is missing from your life. It's there because you've been looking everywhere but within. The truth is, you are not waiting on a person, a place, or a moment. You are waiting on you. You are the solution wrapped in skin. You are the breakthrough disguised as ordinary. The gifts you admire in others are not foreign to you. They're reflections of what's dormant inside. Every time you get inspired, it's not because you're looking at something external. It's because something internal is being stirred. Your potential has been knocking on the door of your consciousness, asking you to stop ignoring it and start unleashing it. We are conditioned to believe that the answers are outside of us. We're taught that experts know better, that society has the final say, that our worth is measured by how others perceive us. But what if the greatest expert on your life is you? What if the clarity you crave can only be accessed by becoming still enough to hear your own voice, not the voice of fear, not the voice of insecurity, not the voice of past pain, but the real voice, the one that whispers purpose in your soul and pulls you toward more when everyone else says settle. You weren't created to live confused. You were designed with answers embedded into your being. The problem is, you've been so busy seeking permission from others that you forgot to authorize yourself. You keep asking people for directions to a place they've never been. You keep consulting those who can't see the vision we're uniquely wired to carry. You keep praying for signs, not realizing that you are the sign. When you finally stop searching out there and start excavating within, everything changes. You begin to remember your resilience. You begin to recognize your intuition. You begin to reconnect with your inner compass. And it doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you get stronger, strong enough to move even when the path isn't clear, strong enough to decide even when there's no guarantee, strong enough to act not out of desperation, but out of identity. You are not incomplete. You are unfolding. Every challenge you've faced has been chiseling away the layers of doubt and fear that were covering the masterpiece underneath. You are not in need of becoming someone new. You're in need of becoming who you've always been. The pain, the delay, the detours, they weren't meant to destroy you. They were sent to introduce you to yourself. You don't need someone else to save you. You've been equipped to rise. Your voice carries weight. Your presence has power. Your story has purpose. And when you start believing that, you stop settling for less than what aligns with that truth. You stop shrinking to fit in places you've outgrown. You stop silencing your gift to make others comfortable. You stop pretending to be powerless when you were born to lead. You are the answer to the prayers you've been praying. You are the manifestation of the dreams you thought were for someone else. You are not a background character in your own story. You are the protagonist, the overcomer, the one who breaks generational limits. But you must be willing to stop waiting for someone to choose you and start choosing yourself. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It means you trust that what you need will be revealed as you go. It means you walk in boldness even with shaking hands. It means you show up as if your presence matters, because it does. Your life is not random. Your desires are not accidental. Your potential is not imaginary. The answers you've been desperate for are not on the outside of your life. They are embedded in the very essence of who you are. Every step you've taken has been leading you here to this realization. The delay wasn't denial, it was preparation. The rejection wasn't personal, it was protection. The confusion wasn't punishment, it was redirection. You've been looking everywhere but inward when all along the key was hidden inside the one person you've been running from yourself. Stop outsourcing your worth to people who are still trying to figure out their own. You were not designed to live according to someone else's opinion of you. You were not created to rise and fall based on whether someone responds to your message, applauds your ideas, or chooses to stay in your life. The moment you hand your worth to another person, you give them control over your peace. And that is far too high a price for acceptance. You were not meant to be someone else's project or placeholder. You were not meant to be validated only when you meet their expectations or make them feel comfortable. You do not exist to fit someone else's definition of success or beauty or value. When you try to win their approval, you lose your authenticity. You cannot serve your assignment and serve their opinion at the same time. Worth is not something you wait for someone to give you. It's something you declare over yourself. The problem is, many people walk through life begging for confirmation from those who couldn't even carry their calling. They chase compliments like oxygen, not realizing they've been breathing value the entire time. You don't need someone else's yes to walk in what's already been placed inside you. You are not someone's reflection. You are your own revelation. The way they see you does not define you. The way they treat you does not diminish you. You are not broken because someone failed to recognize your brilliance. Their failure to appreciate you is not proof that you're inadequate. It's proof they were unqualified to handle what you carry. You must stop negotiating your identity with people who lack the capacity to understand your assignment. There is a dangerous pattern that develops when you rely on people to tell you who you are. You become addicted to their attention. You start shaping your life around their comfort. You walk on eggshells so they don't leave. You dim your light so they don't feel small. But in doing so, you sacrifice the most sacred thing you have, your truth. And no relationship, opportunity, or applause is worth that. When you stop outsourcing your worth, you start reclaiming your voice. You no longer keep silent to be accepted. You no longer say yes just to avoid conflict. You no longer live a diluted version of yourself to gain a temporary sense of belonging. You start saying what needs to be said. You start setting boundaries that protect your peace. You start moving in alignment, not anxiety. Self-respect grows when you stop waiting for others to assign it to you. That respect shows up in how you speak to yourself, how you handle your time, how you treat your body, and how you allow others to engage with you. When you realize your worth is non-negotiable, your standards change. What once felt like rejection now feels like redirection. What once broke you now builds you. You stop asking, do they see me? And start affirming, I see myself. You are not a product to be evaluated. You are not a test to be passed. You are not a role to be filled. You are a whole human being called and capable with a voice that matters and a life that was designed with intention. You don't have to fit anyone's mold. You don't have to wear anyone else's labels. You don't need a committee to approve what's already divine. This world is filled with people who will overlook you, misunderstand you, dismiss you, but that is not your burden to carry. You were never meant to be everything to everyone. You were meant to be fully you to the right ones. And the only way to find those right ones is to show up in truth, not in performance. Because when you start loving yourself properly, the people who are aligned with your purpose will recognize your light without you having to prove anything. The longer you wait for someone else to see your value, the longer you delay stepping into who you really are. Your life is too precious to be lived for their approval. You have too much to offer to stay quiet for their comfort. There is too much inside you to waste time waiting for someone else to decide that you're enough. You don't need their confirmation. You need your own agreement. And that agreement starts the moment you stop outsourcing your worth. When you love yourself, you stop waiting for someone to come lead you out of your confusion, your cycles, or your silence. You take responsibility for your own direction. You stop looking for a savior in someone else because you realize that the strength you've been waiting on is already inside of you. Self-love turns passive living into purposeful movement. It awakens something in you that no external force could ever ignite on its own. You stop drifting through life and you start deciding. Loving yourself teaches you how to lead yourself with discipline, not just emotion. You don't just move when it feels good, you move because it's necessary. You don't just act when it's easy, you act because your future depends on it. You start showing up for yourself even when no one else is watching. You become your own standard bearer. You become the one who says, I'll rise today, not because I have to, because I was born to. Love gives you consistency, and consistency gives you results. When you lead yourself from a place of self-love, you no longer tolerate procrastination dressed up as perfectionism. You stop waiting for the conditions to be ideal and start moving with what you have. You stop seeking comfort and start seeking alignment. You make decisions that support your growth, not just your convenience. You learn to tell yourself the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, because you're not trying to avoid pain, you're trying to produce purpose. Self-love doesn't lead you into fantasy. It leads you into accountability. It calls you higher. It doesn't let you hide behind excuses or distractions. It challenges you to stop blaming others for where you are and start building the life you were created for. It gives you permission to forgive yourself, but it also gives you the power to challenge yourself. Love says, yes, you're enough, and leadership says, so act like it. When you truly love yourself, you protect your vision from sabotage. You stop letting fear run your schedule. You stop letting other people's opinions rent space in your mind. You start becoming selective about who gets your energy and what gets your attention. You realize that not everything deserves a response, and not everyone deserves access. love creates clarity, and clarity allows you to move with confidence. Loving yourself also means knowing what to walk away from. You begin to exit environments that keep you small, conversations that drain your energy, and habits that undermine your progress. You lead yourself away from toxicity and toward truth. You no longer allow your potential to be compromised by convenience. You recognize that peace is more valuable than popularity, and purpose is more urgent than pleasing others. When you lead yourself well, you stop begging for opportunities and start creating them. You don't knock on every door hoping one opens. You build the door if necessary. You're not driven by desperation. You're driven by design. You become intentional about what you consume, who you connect with, and how you spend your time. You begin to structure your life in a way that reflects the love you have for your calling. You begin to talk to yourself differently. No more internal bullying disguised as motivation. You speak life direction and strength into your own soul. You remind yourself of your identity before the world has a chance to define you. You affirm your value before anyone else can challenge it. And when life hits hard, you don't collapse. You recalibrate. Because when you love yourself, resilience becomes your reflex. You understand that leadership doesn't always mean control. It often means surrendering to discipline. You choose the hard path because you know it leads to deeper freedom. You embrace the boring steps because you know they build a bold future. You stop chasing attention and start mastering focus. You stop comparing your journey to others and start honoring the pace that belongs to you. In loving yourself, you become the example for others to follow